All right, that's the foundation of what we're talking about. We have joining us now a maritime lawyer, Barrister Tony Dania, with us in the studio. Barrister, it's good to have you join us.
Good morning.
And thanks for agreeing to meet us. I know you're on your way to the court, but thanks for sparing out time to talk to us before you get to the issues in court. But let me start with the issue of timing. We have just heard the comments from some of the stakeholders there saying the timing is wrong. What timing can be most appropriate for tax increase or excise duties related or custom duties generally?
Anytime a new tax increase in any aspect of tariff comes up, there is always this reaction that it's the wrong time. But however, my take is that I expect the government to have consulted properly before coming up with this, because those that will be immediately affected ought to have been consulted. As a matter of fact, I thought they were consulted until I started seeing and hearing the reaction, you know. And then when the government is trying to look beyond oil to increase, to generate income, to fund budget. But I expect them to think too about the impact on the economy. The association concerned, they were right. A company like Guinness that employs close to 2,000 Nigerians or over 2,000 Nigerians is likely to be affected. And the increase, 20%, is high. Even though they are giving it, they say they will spread it over 3 years, it's high. I expect that you consult, you agree, and when you come up with this increase in, ad valorem increase in tariffs, the reaction will be reduced. You would have carried every industry player along. So that's my first take. I want to advise the federal government. Now, the custom box is saying we are now making billions. And then tax have been increased. They are now taking payment of tax very serious. What is the impact on the economy? Now, if you are going to do that, then encourage production. Because what we are doing now is that we are sending our raw materials outside. You will be charged for doing that. Then the Europe industry will put the raw material to finished product and export it back to us. You still pay for it. You know, because to some extent we are still import dependent. So that is very wrong. What are you doing to create this industry? I take, for example, rice. We are boasting that rice, Nigeria is, we started less than 3-4 years ago and we are making good progress. But who are the people benefiting? Lake Rice is between Lagos State and Kebbi. Then Dangote Rice. Only few individuals. Spread this thing. Let there be funds that are accessible for ordinary Nigeria to look. If you allow other companies and individual Nigeria to have access to funds to plant rice, within 5 years, we are likely to be the highest rice exporting countries, and that will increase our money. So the government should be looking at areas where that will benefit people generally, where you can access funds to improve our economy. Because if you generate the money, for instance, if you generate funds and you make electricity supply regular, you would have solved 20% of all our problems. Okay. Because the money you will save will be in individual hands. You and I will not buy generator, will not buy diesel, will not maintain generator, we rely on the public power. So have you done that? Then is it easy for an ordinary company to, the people that can access funds are already rich persons, the rich ones. That means you are not creating new millionaires. You are, in fact, you will think you are making money, but poverty remains. You understand me? So this, anytime they want to take, like, I have admired the Lagos State governor so much, but I'm surprised and for the first time disappointed that they will increase charges on properties without consultation.
Okay,
that is yes.
Barrister, let me come in here. The finance minister said that the tariff technical committee was the one that recommended this review, you know, after proper consideration of government's fiscal policy measures for 2018 and the reports of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund Technical Assistance Mission on Nigeria's fiscal policy. And, you know, when they did peer country analysis of the duties being paid on these substances in other African countries, Nigeria seems to be one of the lowest countries, the amount being charged.
Yes. Nigeria has been a country where, despite complaints, things are relatively cheap compared to other countries. I have bought Panadol 500 naira in Ghana, and I was shouting. A sachet of Panadol in Nigeria is 100 naira. But having said that, you cannot overnight increase to meet with other peers. If you are talking of Africa, you are talking of Nigeria and South Africa, and then maybe Algeria, Egypt. So we are, whether you like it or not, still the giant of Africa. So and the attraction of foreigners and foreign investors into Nigeria is because of this cheap assessment to cheap prices of things in Nigeria. So if you are going to increase, it should be a gradual process, and you should carry people along. If they have carried the manufacturer associations along, the blenders associations along, and other stakeholders who have this kind of reaction, they would have been more advised on it. Yeah, the law that allows the president to do this is Section 13, subsection 1 of the Custom Excise Tariffs Consolidation Act. But then, and he said it's subject to the recommendation by the committee you just talked about. Now, this committee and not the president. That is why I keep saying the president should now go beyond just signing and ask questions. Did you do the right thing? Don't sign if you have not done the right thing. Now, the technical committee that is supposed to make recommendation to the president, did they carry along the manufacturers association, the Excise blenders association, and other stakeholders? The answer is no. No. Because if they were carried along, you seen them reacting the way they did. And if they were carried along, this thing would have been done peacefully. Say, okay, no, look at it. And let me tell you something. We have a lot of big companies involved in this. It's a long-term investment. And you say, okay, you are giving them 3 months to make whatever adjustment.
Yeah, 90 days. Exactly.
90 days. So, I mean, the government should always consider this. Government should carry people along.
So when the Minister of Finance said due consultation with stakeholders or relevant stakeholders have been carried out, and then the manufacturers are saying we didn't. So who are those that consultation was made with?
The government appointees, ministers, and others are very good at using such languages. After due consultation with stakeholders, it's a lie. The stakeholders are saying you didn't consult them. And it was easy to have consulted them. You call the chairman of the association, we are planning this. The committee is meeting and deliberating before giving recommendation. What is your take on this? The man...
it would even be good to make him a member of the committee.
Yes. And then this brings me to issues of everything we do, people ascribe it to politics. Wrong time means because of the 2019 election. No. Government can always take action at any time as far as it is in the interest of Nigerians. They can always do that at any time. So let's not ascribe politics to this. And to reduce the ascription of politics to whatever policy action the government is taking, I advise the president to carry even those in the opposing parties along.
We still have Barrister Tony Daniel in the studio. We're talking about the excise duty, of course, the reviewed one being put in place by the government at this time. Thank you for staying with us, Barrister.
Thank you very much.
Before the break, I was talking about ECOWAS giving a directive to all member states as well, that there was need for them to harmonize their legislations on excise duties for them to be at par. So it's not like the Nigerian government is doing this in isolation.
Yes. The ECOWAS forum would give advice but cannot order, because every country still enjoys its own sovereignty. So when they give advice, you look at your peculiar situation and you act within that context. For example, if the ECOWAS, yes, why they are doing that is to have a kind of uniform position on these items. And then when you now want to do it, you should consult. What we are saying is that there's nothing wrong in increasing it, and this particular item worldwide, we're trying to reduce the smoking, intake of alcohol, and all that. But even globally, we're careful. Everybody is careful about introducing something that will collapse the industry. Industry there. So what we are saying is that the stakeholders would have been carried along. People are dependent. There are a lot of companies that import this thing into the country, and we have local manufacturers too. The importers, the Association of Manufacturers in this industry, Were they carried along? Were they informed? Was there meetings? Is it true, as stated by the Minister for Finance, that stakeholders have been carried along? We have seen that it is not true. Because if they were carried along, they cannot come out now and be saying that, oh, nobody consulted us, we disagree totally. The percentage of increase is 20% per stick of cigarette, for example, and per centiliter of the liquid, liquid alcohol. Content, yeah. So now, if 20% is enough for profit, if you are making 20% of your investment in a year, it's enough profit in, advanced countries. But it's the only year we want to make 50%, 100% per annum. So if you are increasing it with 20%, probably that is even the profit the company is making. So if you have consulted, maybe you would have been well guided and you would have come up with a well-informed recommendation to the president, that, okay, let us, instead of 20%, we could do 10% now, we could do 5% now, we could increase this way so that the consumers, people are still consuming. I don't take alcohol, but I don't smoke, but people that are smoking.
But it has been spread for 3 years.
Yes, but did you read it? For that 3 years, the increase, it will come to like 39% at the third year. That is high. That is very high. 39%.
All right, but these taxes are considered to be what they call sin tax, yes, against some of the products that are harmful to human health. Gambling is under this, prostitution is under this in some countries. Yes. Certainly that is not legal in Nigeria. Yes. And the issues of tobacco and alcohol. But if we're narrowing it down to the issue of tobacco and alcohol, especially even tobacco, is it not really time? Because you cannot impose outright ban on tobacco. Is it not the right time considering the harmful effect of this?
Economic policies policies that will help the economy and also reduce what we consider social vice are good. But what we are saying is that when you are coming up with this policy, carry stakeholders along to cushion the effects.
So that is the crux of this issue. That is just the crux. It
was a good thing. It will increase the income to the government. It will reduce and discourage smoking and consumption of alcohol, which UNO, have advised countries to do. So you are achieving two things. The only problem with that policy, from my personal opinion, is that they ought to have carried people along.
Because
otherwise, it's a beautiful one. That wrong timing, Nigerians will always say it's the wrong time, no matter the time you introduce a policy. This tariff increase will impact on the economy. It will generate funds, it will reduce social vice. It will reduce the consumption of alcohol and smoking, because when you know that you manage to buy a smoke and the price has gone up, you are discouraged.
But unfortunately, there are fears that jobs would be affected.
Exactly. That is why I say that. That's why I say that the manufacturers, those importing these items, those producing these items would have been called. Because if you implement this policy, there will be loss of jobs, definitely. Because they will take it back to the consumers. So the only problem I see with this policy is that stakeholders will not carry it along. The excuse that ECOWAS have recommended. So when they recommend, it's subject to when you want to implement
your peculiarity.
Yeah, the peculiarity of your economic position.
And, they did peer country analysis as well. And yes, like I told you earlier, Nigeria was ranking low in the amount that was being charged.
That's what we said. The fact, not only on this, Nigeria ranked low in so many areas. Okay. Our prices are good. Okay. And that is why Nigeria is attractive to so many foreigners and investors. So if we want to improve on it, I have said it, they buy petrol from the petrol station in Nigeria, take to Cotonou to sell. That's to tell you it's still cheap here, but that will not justify you increasing it astronomically. Yes.
Okay. All right, Barrister Tony Daniel, maritime lawyer, thank you so much for spending time. You have to run to the courts now.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking time out for us.
Thank you.